on this computer. Yay.
Got it.
Steve. So today we're meeting with Steve for a quick Q&A. Steve, first I want to say thank you for helping us get to this point. This was a pretty awesome week that we won our TRO in the courts, and thank you and Jake Gardner and Liana and Julia. This was you have a very good team to have moved a bunch of retirees to a TRO against the city.
Yeah, but you left out the most important members of the team, and that's you and your team, because it clearly would not. No, this is serious, man. It would not have been possible unless you had collected the information and the facts that really persuaded the judge that this wasn't fair.
He heard us, so I was very happy about that. Thank you. So today we have a couple of questions for you that we've been asking since we put out our information and our guidance from you to them over the last few days. So I'm going to start. Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. So one question says, if the city comes back to the judge with a plan that he thinks is reasonable, does that mean they have to go ahead and implement with a new opt-out deadline, or do we just proceed with the case?
Okay, two different things. I think we have to proceed with the case because the judge is going to approve at some point a revised Alliance City plan. That's going to happen. Whether that happens in a week or in a month, we don't know. But still, we have this fundamental question. Do they have a right to impose it on current retirees? And we say no. It's against the CBA, all the contracts that you guys have worked under, and it's against the statute 12126, which says the city has to provide you with a health plan and pay for it. So we're proceeding to say, let's challenge the legality of the imposition on current retirees. I have no doubt in my mind that all future retirees working for the city today, every current employee, when they retire, is going to have one plan and one plan only, a Medicare Advantage plan. No question in my mind, it's going to be imposed on every single future retiree. So the judge is going to approve at some point this revised plan from the Alliance. And then the clock will start again, and he will set a clock for you to now assess what the city and the Alliance are saying is in the new Medicare Advantage plan, would give you a chance to talk to your doctors. Doctor, are you going to accept this? Not going to accept it. Evaluate it and say, do I want to accept what the city is offering me, or do I want to opt out? So there are two parallel paths we're going to proceed on.
Okay, great. Next question. Please explain the judge's decision and what it means.
Wait, you froze for half a second. Please explain the judge's decision and I missed
what
that.
It means. What
Great.
Does it mean?
The judge understood completely how unfair this was to retirees. How can you make an informed decision when you don't have information? Just not. He saw it, he got it, and he said to the city, stop. This is irrational. It's not appropriate. You've abused your discretion to administer the health-wide plan, the citywide health plan. Stop. Get your act together. And until then, the status quo remains in place. Now, how long will that go? The status quo is for 97% of you, you chose the GHI senior plan and they pay for it. To me, that's the status quo. 3% choose other plans. That's the status quo. You know, because some people say, I have Aetna now, do I have to opt out of that? The status quo is what you're in today and who pays how much for it. He also said two other things that affect us on the periphery. He said to the MLC, you're not getting to intervene in this particular case. You have a stake in the Aetna challenge to how it was selected, but not here. And third, he said to Aetna, you're not going to be irreparably harmed, so I'm not going to impose, if by this thing moving ahead, it seems fair, you can challenge it. But what he was assessing was in a sense, what he was assessing for you guys and gave to you, but didn't give to Aetna, saying stop, they're going to be, I'm guessing that Aetna is going to challenge the selection of the alliance as the provider of a Medicare Advantage plan. So he said to Aetna, you don't deserve to stop it right now because you, the biggest healthcare company in the country, are not going to be irreparably harmed, but you can still challenge it, and they are going to challenge it. But we're going to say on behalf of retirees, stop to the city, stop.
Okay. Well, and status quo question came up a few times. At what point is the definition of status quo? Is it like that we're in our plan right now, the ones that they're forcing us to opt out of, or is the status quo because some people either didn't listen to the guidance initially or they heard the guidance after they'd opted out? So some people have already opted out, and then that went into the decision, the request that you had asked us to say, hey, ask those people to see if they can call labor relations, the 833 hotline, and ask them to rescind that, put them back in their status quo. So I think there was a confusion, which where was the status quo? Are we, if we opted out, are we status quo for the opt out, or is the status quo means we're in the plan that we were in before this whole mess started?
Well, I think it's absolutely, you're in the plan that you're in until you're given a reasonable chance to choose which plan you want to be in going forward. Now, so it's a little weird for the people who've just said, opt me out. I'm not going to, based on what I've already heard, I can't take this, new Medicare Advantage from. Now, they could come back when the judge approves the city moving ahead. So, it's not so bad. I don't want to opt out. So I think I would argue, and I think it's reasonable to assume that they haven't really opted out.
No, they did it under duress.
They did it under duress. They did inadequate information. And the judge will respect whatever decision they make. But I don't know about you. Look, whether you trust the city or not is one thing. Put that over here. Do you have confidence in them to be competent over here? I don't think they're competent. Okay, I think the evidence is overwhelming that there are enough little pockets of incompetence to make you worry. So to me, and the reason I've said, if it were my choice, I would try to rescind the opt-out that I've already sent in for a simple reason. You've signed a contract saying I'm going to pay $191.57 per month per person. And somebody probably at the city or at the alliance is sitting in front of it because they've got to manually input it, right? Mm-hmm. Marianne with Social Security number XYZ. And they're putting it into a system that says, hey, starting January 1st, we're going to start billing her. Mm-hmm. Do you really have confidence that they're going to be able now to pull it, that won't move ahead on it? I just don't. If you can screw up, it will.
They're not even processing IRMAs timely, so that came out last week too.
Yeah. So that's why I've been recommending to people that they rescind their opt-out. Let's see what happens. But you don't want to start getting $191 taken out of your pension check starting in December for the January implementation.
Okay, so then that kind of answers number 2, or number 3 actually, which was why are we advising members to rescind their opt-out? So that explains that one.
I hope so.
I hope so too. Do retirees who are currently on Aetna need to opt out to remain on Aetna?
No, I think, again, there aren't that many people on Aetna currently.
No.
But status quo means status quo for the 97% who've chosen senior care and the 3% who've chosen Aetna. Status quo means status quo for everybody.
So everyone that did file should still, whether you're in whatever plan, try to rescind your opt-out.
I think so.
Because the city is telling some people that are calling, you still know that if you rescind this opt-out, you'll be automatically enrolled in the other plan. So, but we know that's malarkey, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if it's not malarkey, they're going to get another lawsuit. So if a retiree currently That's the second question. So if a retiree currently on Aetna submitted an opt-out, should that opt-out be rescinded? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is, what happens if I use my once in a lifetime to switch to Aetna before the judge's decision? Is that now null and void?
I think it is, but again, make the decision. You know, we've heard so much confusion from the city. Traditionally, it's always been that retirees get to change their health plan every other year in the even year. But you have that one-time lifetime opt-out. And again, you've people who've used that, think that, they did it under duress also. I would try to rescind and say, hey, I'm reserving that, once in a lifetime. This was just done under duress. It was way too confusing, inaccurate information.
So I'm going to suggest maybe we have those people send an email to healthbenefits@olr.nyc.gov, in addition to the call to the 833 hotline, stating that they used their once in a lifetime at any time to opt into Aetna under duress because of this. And since the judges stay, that they are rescinding their opt-out and they want their once in a lifetime at any time put back in their bank.
Yes, I think it's a very clear and good approach.
Okay,
So
we will
put that on the Facebook and on the website,
This will go on the Facebook and website as well. Okay, good. Perfect. Okay, then number 7, can you speak to or if or when the MA plan may move forward?
Look, we know that it's going to be sooner rather than later that the city and the alliance submit the revised plan to the court. You just know they're working around the clock to do that. They want everybody in this or out of this by January 1st. And so I would not be surprised to see something within the next week or two. But there are still certain hurdles legally that they have to jump over. They've got to provide a comprehensive, clear plan to the court. And we'll see how long the court then takes to review that. There's been no public hearing. There was supposed to be a public hearing, a review as required by the procurement law last week. It was supposed to be, I guess there were going to be 2 hearings on the 28th of October. How can you review a contract that's not yet finished? So that hearing was pulled back, right? The city council has to vote on it. And then the controller has to certify it, register it. And so all of those steps, in theory, have to be taken. The city might say, oh, no, if on every third Thursday, if you stand on your left leg, we don't have to do that. They can always find some excuse or rationale or loophole to excuse them, but we're going to hold them to it. So I think it's going to happen pretty quickly. There's always the chance as well that the city could appeal the judge's decision. And that has its own steps that have to be taken. But I keep looking at my computer, too often to see if there's a notice from the court system that the city has filed papers to give us an indication that they're going to appeal, because there are prior steps that have to be taken before there's an actual appeal. So I'm looking all the time at the computer to see if there's a notice from the court. And so far there's not. It could come today. You can file these papers now electronically on the weekend.
On a weekend.
So it could happen anytime.
Like some of these cases were filed at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll have steps, obviously, to respond to some of that. And then we'll talk right after these questions about how we could delay or get involved interactively with our members to help that process slow down a little, right? So,
right.
Okay, so what are the next steps in our fight?
Well, so we're doing the contingency planning on the legal side. What if they appeal? What if they don't? Are there legal challenges Are there additional legal challenges? People have brought up some really, really important and thoughtful legal arguments that we just have to focus on more.
Okay.
Is there disparate impact? Do wealthier retirees get treated differently than poorer retirees? Is there are disabled folks treated differently than non-disabled? So we're looking at those things. We're looking at the contract issues. Now, the contract issues don't affect us in some ways as much as it affects Aetna, but it still does. If it hasn't followed the right procedure, how can retirees be expected to act on this? I think there's a political dimension that's important. There's also monitoring, and I want to go through each of these in some specifics, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
When you called, when I listened in on some of the calls, the 833 hotline number Friday, they were still giving out erroneous information.
Yes.
That there was first they said the October 31st deadline, then a December deadline. It's not what the judge said. In fact, I think it was Mike Mulgrew who sent out a letter to UF team members saying that, okay, it's been extended till December. No, it is not. It's stopped indefinitely until the judge says otherwise. That was he
Crystal clear.
Yeah, he misunderstood what the judge said.
Okay, that's giving him credit.
I mean, his explanation of prior authorization was, I thought I was reading Alice in Wonderland. Yeah, it was really creative. It could turn into a zombie movie or something. I don't know, but it was just not accurate.
No.
I want to know what people are hearing today and tomorrow and Monday from the 833 hotline about opting out.
Okay.
Is the information they're being given accurate, contradictory? We want to know. And if necessary, if it's not accurate, we've got to bring that to the judge's attention. We asked the other side on Friday, the lawyers on the other side, for the city and for the alliance, how are you going to let retirees know that the judge said stop? We haven't heard back. We also said to the lawyers, do not contact retirees. They are represented in the rules of professional conduct for lawyers. And there are such things.
Yes.
You're not supposed to contact people who are represented by attorneys. And we think we are representing you guys. So they shouldn't be contacting you. And they should, the fact that they asked some actual named plaintiffs, contacted them and said, send us your doctors.
Yeah.
That was outrageous.
It was.
That should never, ever, ever happen. And we alerted them and said, that's not right, guys. You don't do that. You know better. And they do know better.
They do. They don't think we're as smart as we are.
They have no idea how tough you are or smart you are. They really don't.
Learn.
So let's go back to, this is now also a political decision.
It is.
And there are at least 3 parties that are involved here. We have the current mayor who's full steam ahead. Nothing's going to happen with the de Blasio administration. You talk, as I used to say to my kids, talk to the hand. He's not listening, right? Eric Adams has said, and Curtis Sliwa has said, but I think there's a strong chance that one of them will become mayor. Said, I'm going to look at this again. As well he should. Mm-hmm. Now, can he stop the process? I don't know. Is there professional courtesy from, the election is next week. And I think we'll know the results pretty quickly, even with outstanding ballots, or absentee ballots. I think we'll know after November 2nd or the night of November 2nd who the next mayor-elect is. And if the mayor-elect says to the current mayor, please stop, will that be respected? I hope so.
I hope so.
And I hope Eric Adams or Curtis Sliwa say that to Mayor de Blasio. Second, there's a committee in the city council responsible for this motion, this bill, this plan. They're holding another open session, not focusing on the contract, but hearing what people have to say. And that's happening at 1 o'clock this coming Thursday, I guess it's the 28th, 1 o'clock at City Hall in the City Council chambers.
Right.
And I encourage people to show up. You register when you show up to speak, and it's limited to 2 minutes. But I think being heard, the City Council hearing from retirees, can make a real difference. Emailing City Council, your City Council member, and the member who's on the committee, and say, please stop, don't rush this, don't force retirees into making this, this irrational, as the judge put it, this irrational choice. So I think talking to City Council members is really important. Third is the controller. Now, Scott Stringer is on his way out. And forgive me, I'm having a senior moment. I forgot who is elected to become or likely to become the new controller after November 2nd. You're going to remind me, because you remember, I don't remember.
No, I forgot to.
I know you. Thanks. But we talked about it an hour and a half ago. Yeah. Eric Lander. Brad Lander.
That's it.
There we go. Between us, we get right.
Or Xander.
Okay, Brad Lander is probably going to be the new city controller. And saying to Brad Lander, stop. Let's take this through the process that is dictated by law, where there is a hearing. There's a contract, and so far there is no contract. And the judge said, show me the contract, show me the plan. Second, there's got to be a public hearing. Third, it's got to be voted on by the city council. Fourth, it's got to be registered by the controller. That process should be followed. It's there for this rush to force everybody into it with this, foreshortened, cheated. It's cheating people out of the democratic process. It's not right.
So all of those things should have been done before the implementation of the plan and the rollout for seniors to make their election.
Correct. And it hasn't been.
No.
And so holding people accountable should be part of what we're asking people to do now. Asking every retiree, contact your city council person, contact the controller, contact the mayor or the mayor-elect's office. Be sure to vote on the 2nd, but say, slow down, do it the right way. At least give people a choice. They may come back in under the new plan and say, not only are we giving you this Medicare Advantage plan, we're giving you a new Tesla to go with it.
So, and that question is, what can retirees do now to help? It would be this. This would be the ask. Contact those officials starting today and ask them, are they aware of this process? If they could slow this down to look at it.
Just follow the rules.
There's no contract in place. Please, Blake, make sure the procurement is in place. And two, we should be asking them to abide by the contracts that they had with us and not impose this on us retirees currently retired.
Yeah, but that was challenging legally. Okay. Focus on this one. You can explain, and it's absolutely appropriate to explain to a city council member, hey, this is why we're so upset. We were promised certain benefits. And, the city and the alliance tried to argue during that, people are not guaranteed a particular plan for life. And I agree. I don't care if the Medicare supplemental plan that each and every one of you, 97% of you have been getting, is provided by GHI or Aetna or United Healthcare. It makes no difference. The benefit makes a difference. That's what you were promised when you retired.
Right.
That's what you're entitled to.
Okay, so make these phone calls. Now, asking them also to call the 833 number every day, today, tomorrow, Monday, and asking them, what would you say?
What's going on? Tell me if I have to opt out. What's my deadline for opting out? Am I automatically going to be enrolled on January 1st in the new Medicare Advantage plan? See what information the 833 hotline people are giving you.
Okay. I can probably, should I just take those statements? So how would you like us, let me ask you it this way. How would you like us to collect those answers? Should that be in a survey?
Survey is great. The survey was really powerful information, I think, that we provided to the court.
Okay, so we're looking for
Because it was great. What you did was so super because you asked honest questions. You didn't tilt the questions to
No.
get a predetermined answer. We want to hear the truth. The court wants to hear the truth. If you're getting clear information, say so. And if you're not, say so.
Okay, well, we can pretty much use that old survey and just tweak the questions a little.
Right.
Well, that's all the questions that I had on our list from our board. And we also pulled some of those off of our Facebook page questions. And the last one was, what was the status quo? And you already answered that one. So, so if you have something else to offer or share with us, I'll give you the floor. Otherwise, I'm just going to wrap.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. Thank you.
Well, thank you. You're welcome. And thank you too, because he wouldn't be here. We have a very good team. I love
agree.
the team. Yeah,
I agree.
Come up with some interesting stuff. So our road's not over. I'm looking forward to this.
Clearly not.
I keep saying that we won the battle, not the war, but I'm ready for the next one.
Right.
Well, thank you for your time today. I appreciate everything that you've done. And I'm going to just hit pause. So right back.